I didn't really have any intention of doing a review of the 6-part series Surviving R. Kelly, but I literally could not get it out of my mind. And so here I am, I'm going to do a review. Surviving R. Kelly is a 6-part documentary series that aired on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of January of this year, 2019. And it goes into detail about the abuse that R. Kelly put so many young girls through and continues to put girls through, as well as his impact on the music industry, and just chronicles his entire life. The documentary starts out by detailing Kelly's life in Chicago, how he'd been molested at a young age, him as well as his brothers. It talks about how he was musically inclined, but he had some sexually inappropriate lyrics. And this was evident at a very young age when he was in school. But he was not a very strong reader. He dropped out of school once he recognized his musical ability. He became an R&B superstar that was known for sexually suggestive lyrics. From that point on, started to prowl high schools and malls, picking up young teenage girls and being very inappropriate with them publicly. The documentary then goes on to explore Kelly's inappropriate relationships with young girls like the singer Aaliyah, who he married when she was 15. It then goes on to talk about his brainwashing tactics and the ways that he manipulated his victims, his fans, and the music industry by hiding in plain sight. Commentary from music artists, psychologists, and victims and their families provided a really detailed look into how Kelly was able to get away with his crimes. To say that the documentary was eye-opening would be an understatement. One of the most shocking elements of the series is how much support Kelly received from his fans, the music industry, and his entourage. Although this was a series about R. Kelly, it really was a series about how a village of people failed black girls. Later on in the documentary, there was a revisiting of the infamous R. Kelly sex tape, a video that leaked in 2002 where Kelly is seen urinating in the mouth of a 14-year-old girl. It's an especially sobering moment in the documentary that shows the extent to which the public was willing to forgive and excuse R. Kelly's behavior. When that tape was leaked, I remember copies being everywhere. People had jokes, they blamed the girls. There was a lot of excusing going on, and the documentary went into detail about that and really showed the victims and what they went through and what their families went through and how devastating this was to them. Throughout the documentary, the pain that R. Kelly caused could be seen in the tears and the passionate appeals to the public made by Kelly's victims and their families, some of whom are still attempting to get back the girls that R. Kelly is currently holding in a sex cult. One of the glaring details of the commentary is how much support Kelly received. I'm not sure if the producers did this on purpose, but if the attempt was to put a mirror up to society, it was mission accomplished, because I did not walk away from any of the episodes without thinking about how many excuses I heard from people, how many people were sorry in hindsight, how many people had seen this or seen that. And even though many of these people did not participate in having sex with these girls that we know of, it was hard to see them as innocent bystanders. One of the things that I think was really a glaring mistake that this documentary made was their decision to use footage of an interview that they conducted with Charlemagne, who's a DJ on, I forget what the show is called, whatever, but it was just really surprising that they would use that, because recently some information about a lawsuit against him had came to light. And in the lawsuit, a 15-year-old girl had accused Charlemagne of raping her, of, I believe, drugging and raping her, or getting her drunk and raping her, something like that. And it was really surprising that they would use commentary from him, considering that kind of light that had been on him very recently. Additionally, there was some tweets that they found from like 10 years ago, you know, like 8 years ago, something like that, where he had made some inappropriate jokes about R. Kelly looking young and having sex with teenage girls, helping them to look young, and so on and so forth. It was just really surprising to see him as part of this documentary, considering his shock jock reputation, and then also the allegations against him so many years ago. So I don't know about that. I just thought that was kind of just in bad judgment. That's pretty much the only commentary that I can think of that I honestly thought they kind of misstepped. But for the most part, it was a really informative documentary. They left no stone unturned. Everybody was interviewed, everybody that they can get their hands on. People that were left out of the documentary were generally people who did not want to be a part of it in the first place. And that was also kind of surprising, considering there's so many artists that have worked with R. Kelly. Another surprising thing about the documentary was how much of R. Kelly's lyrics and how much of his music was created essentially in his image. He was having these inappropriate relationships with young girls, but he was also using his music as a way to kind of tell the public about it. I mean, he was telling on himself through his music, through his persona. One example would be the song You Are Not Alone. It was about a teenage girl that had lost his baby, a 15-year-old girl that lost his baby. He wrote that song for her or about her, and that is the song that we know that Michael Jackson sings, but this is a song that R. Kelly wrote and produced. And so a lot of the things that R. Kelly has done, including, you know, he's the Pied Piper of music, these are things that kind of let us know that R. Kelly has been telling us all this time who he's been, who he is. And for some people that might be surprising, the age ain't nothing but a number thing with Aaliyah. A lot of these things, you know, are surprising to some people because, you know, nobody really thought to dig that deep into his music. But essentially, he's been telling us, the public, who he's been all along. The documentary ends on a sobering note, showing us that there are still girls brainwashed and imprisoned by R. Kelly right now, and their parents are trying to get them free. It's hard not to come away from this series without seeing the urgency and seriousness of sex trafficking and how the entertainment industry can be a wall of protection around celebrities that use their fame and their money to be untouchable. And R. Kelly had been untouchable for a number of years. So this documentary is really, really important in exposing him, but also in informing the public to how much we enable artists like this. One thing that really stood out to me was a story that was told in the first episode of the documentary where R. Kelly's brother talks about how shy R. Kelly was as a child. He says that he didn't like people to look him in his eyes. And so when he'd sing, he would face a wall. And he was just really, really shy, very, you know, introverted and very, very sensitive child. Well, this series, ironically, takes a look not only into R. Kelly's eyes, but deep into his soul. And it is a very dark place. I wouldn't call this series a fun watch, but it was informative. It comes with a trigger warning for its sexual nature, but I highly suggest you watch it if you have the stomach for it. That's my rating. You know, I'm hesitant to use the word good, but I definitely think that it's important to watch this. That's it. Let me know what you think. Did you watch the documentary series Surviving R. Kelly? If so, what did you think? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. Bye.